Hey there. Welcome back to Director's Garage. I'm Michael, and sorry I haven't been around for a couple of weeks. I've been waiting on the ZMF Verite limited headphones that I ordered to come in. I was going to kind of do a thing on camera with those. And if you know anything about ZMFs, you get on these lists, and I was like number 38, and I was watching it, and this was like in early June. I made the purchase, and I thought, okay, well, it'd be cool. But I'm still at like number 21. So I'm at they're artists. These are built to order. These are hand built, hand everything headphones, and they take time. So right now I'm in assembly, and then I go through QC, and then they will ship them out. So Zach, if you're out there, Mars needs women. Send my headphones. But until then, I'm going to talk today, in a minute, I'm going to talk about music, because the only time we really reference music when we're in this hobby is when we're like listening to that audition track. Like, oh, this particular track sounds so good on this headphone. This is my reference go-to song to hear what a snare sounds like. But we don't talk about like real music. Like, what's the music? What are you listening to? Besides, I'm not going to spend all my time listening to, Fleetwood Mac Rumors again, or Dark Side of the Moon, or the songs that make your headphones go wow, is what we call them on HeadFi. It's like, well, yeah, great, but what about just everyday music? So I want to talk a little bit about that in a second, but I'm going to give you a little product update first. So first, let's talk about the 64 audio U18 SARs that are behind me there, kind of there. Those are still for sale. Nobody bought them. I've had a couple of offers, but they were not. I'm so busy with work right now. I just don't want to go through hoops. Like, buy them, don't buy them. I don't really care. If you don't buy them, somebody else will. If I friend you money through, just buy them on eBay, or don't buy them. I don't care. Empire Ears. I had a double release this week of a headphone called the Odin and the Hero, which is also being dubbed the Odin Jr. The Odin is sort of the next generation flagship model for them, and I bought them. And I just caved. I saw them and I thought, I love, I'm still on the Forte, and I saw a couple of reviews on HeadFi that they compare favorably to the Forte, if not compete with them. And I want to hear them, and I want to share with you guys what it is. So they'll be here. I bought the fancy model. They have the standard. You can just buy the Odin, or you can buy the Founders Edition. So I bought the Founders Edition. It's going to have all the signatures on it, and maybe it'll hold its value better in the aftermarket if I have to go and sell them. So I have the Founders Edition of that coming, and I don't know if I'll do an unboxing. I'm not totally into that, but I'll probably show them off a little bit. And then I'll give you my impressions of that versus the Forte, which is here. Somebody asked if I would do a review of the Neo, like, since I've done the U12Ts and the U18 SAR and the Forte, would I do the Neo? And the answer is I'm not as interested in doing the Neo. I have the U12Ts. I had them. Everything I've read about the Neo is they are competitors with the 12T, and I decided against the 12T. I went with the Forte, which is a different sound. So I'm not anxious to do that, and they're not on the used market yet. If they were like $900 or something on the used market, I probably would do it, but I'm not going to. That's the one thing, about in-ears right now, and it's interesting because, and nobody's talked about this before, but the excitement of the headphone hobby right now is got to be weighted to the in-ears, doesn't it? The jumps in, like, outside of the headphone, the HED headphone, there's not much out there in the over-ear or on-ear headphone is really making huge groundbreaking gains. The excitement is in the in-ears, because these in-ears are getting better and better, and now they're introducing electrostatic tweeters and drivers, and you have to fit in these tiny little things. You've got to fit an energizer in there to power the electrostat. This is really getting into some amazing territory, and the in-ears are really where it's at, folks. The over-ear headphones, we're not seeing these massive jumps in technology the way we are on the in-ears. So kudos to the in-ear guys, because they're keeping things really exciting. My cat's coming in from outdoors. He's been out carousing. Hi, Howlie. Let's move on to music. This is the main topic today, and it's not going to be a hugely long video, but like some of my epics, it's like Insomniac Theater. The one thing that's happened with the COVID lockdown is bands aren't touring and artists aren't touring. They're stuck at home like we are. And what it's done is people are just in the studio making music again. And everybody's doing it. Everybody's in their home studios, and they're arranging for studio time. And we are starting to see the ripple effect of folks spending the last 4 or 5 months locked down. And if you'll notice, the output of music currently is accelerating. We are getting some really interesting people are spending time on projects that they meant to do for years. And a prime example of that is Neil Young. Neil Young's Homegrown album. This is an album, and get this album because it's fantastic. This is an album that was recorded in 1974. This is like a time capsule album that he has called the Missing Link LP, particularly in the Harvest line. He's like, this is the missing link between Harvest and Harvest Moon. So it's really an interesting snapshot, and the list of players on this, a lot of members of Dylan's band, the band, and Robbie Robertson does a duet on this record, and Levon Helm is on a couple of tracks. Emmylou Harris sings background vocals. This is an album worth having, and it's so vintage. I mean, it sounds like a great album from the 70s, and can't recommend that one enough. Dylan himself has a new release. It's called Rough and Rowdy Ways. I've listened to it. I found it a little disappointing. I think his voice is particularly not great on this album. It is very rough and rowdy. I found it to be a little bit of a disappointment. I'm just not getting it. It seems like it's a little off course for me. So that one I wouldn't recommend. I'm not as recommended. I want to talk a little bit about news. I'm working in entertainment news, and I'll drop some stuff on you when I hear it. The new Adele album, the biggest album release of the year, arguably. Taylor Swift did hers, but that album from Adele, it's been 5 years since Adele released a new record, so this is highly anticipated. There's going to be a lot of hype about it. We're going to hear about it. She's going to do probably an international tour again, hit all the morning shows, and they'll fight for it, and somebody's going to win that interview, and it's going to be a big deal. That album, which was due in September, the whole music world was blocking out September and just saying it's the month of Adele, we're not even going to try. And now that record has been delayed again. We don't know when it's going to come. Her manager has said it'll get here when it's done. Okay. It's just a little unusual, because when you have a big tentpole, like say you're going to release your movie studio and you're going to release the Avengers, you like to have that target date set, and you like to back time your publicity machine into that date, up to that date, so that you get the artist out there, she's talking about it, you release, maybe drop a track or two in advance just to get the hype going, because a good first weekend for the Avengers will bring more sales in subsequent weeks. And the same thing goes true with music. If you have a huge opening number, everybody wants to hear what people are listening to, so they'll drop their money on that record because they want to check it out and be part of pop culture. So it's a little unusual that they're not putting a target date on this. When will we get it? Maybe late this year. Adele? I don't know, early next year? In the meantime, we've got plenty of other things that are pretty exciting. Taylor Swift, to do a big right turn, but I like all music. I really do. And Taylor Swift's new record, she dropped it on a Friday at midnight, and it's an interesting album. It's one of the better things I've heard from her in a long time. I'm not a huge fan of her pop sort of stuff. That's less interesting to me. This one is kind of an intimate record. It feels like a throwback to like more of her, even her country days a little bit, but it's not. It's got an Ed Sheeran vibe. Every time I hear it, I streamed it on Tidal while I was waiting at the DMV. My driver's license had COVID expired, and I had to renew. So I waited like 6 hours online. I listened to it a couple of times while I was in line, and I was really impressed with it. Two tracks stood out to me: Illicit Affairs and Betty, which is a kind of a throwback to sort of her mean era, where it tells a story. It's a story about a young kid who kind of wasn't so good to his girl, and like they had a thing, and then it wasn't a thing, and then he kind of bad talked her, and he felt bad about it, and now he wants to get her back. And the whole song is about how is she going to react when I confront her and apologize, because I feel horrible, and all I really want to do is see her again or be with her again. And she does a trick during the song, which I think is like the worst gimmick ever invented for any pop song, and that's she changes keys. She lifts the key at the end, and normally I hate it. I mean, I just like, it'll drive me crazy. Like, why would you do that? It's like, it's such a gimmick. You can feel it coming from a mile away. Every artist has done this in history, and it's so played. It's just like, don't do it. And but in this case, it works. Because the whole song is like the guy anticipating what's going to happen when he confronts her. And then the lift is like the reveal of what happened after he apologizes. And it worked in this case because it actually lifts the song. So anyway, I give that one a recommendation. She really impressed me with this one. Blue Note released and I'm going to jump all over. So just, I know it's like, buckle in, because I'm going to just take left turns and right turns. Blue Note released an Art Blakey Jazz Messengers record called Just Coolin'. It's an unearthed recording from 1959. It was done in Rowdy Van Gelder, who's the famous engineer for Blue Note, in his parents' living room in Hackensack, New Jersey. And it's got a great lineup of talent. It's got the great Lee Morgan on trumpet. It's got Hank Mobley on sax, and Bobby Timmons is on keys. It's all of these great bebop masters in their prime. And I think maybe it wasn't released because the song lineup is maybe not the best. It's not like my favorite collection of music. But it sounds like a great Blue Note release, and it's on HD Tracks. 60 years ago, it's just that. So it's an excellent edition. What else we got? I was running through Tidal, and I came across the Psychedelic Furs. I didn't even know they were still together and playing music, but they have a brand new record out, and it's an aggressive sound. It does not sound like traditional Furs from that I remember. I remember like The Ghost in You, like kind of the quieter sort of new wave alt band that they were, and this is more like hard alt rock. And it's aggressive, it's interesting sounding. It's not something I'm going to buy and listen to over and over, but boy, it's really an interesting sound, and very aggressive vocals. Take a listen to it. Tell me what you think. This one is interesting. Alanis Morissette has a new record out that just dropped last Friday. I love Alanis, and this record has got great songs. The construction of the songs is fantastic. The execution of the recording, I have a problem with. They put an auto-tune or a layer of auto-tune in her voice that I find annoying. And I like Alanis. I mean, I'm a huge Alanis fan. I go back to not just the first one, Jagged Little Pill, but supposed former infatuation junkie. And I think Under Rug Swept is one of her masterpieces that gets totally underappreciated and overlooked. Go listen to Under Rug Swept. It's a brilliant record. Very intimate, very Alanis, and she's at her peak songwriting. And this record has got great songs on it, but the processing they're doing to her voice is not worthy of the quality of her voice, in my opinion. So I was disappointed by the record. Sorry. What else have I got? Oh, One Steps. Hang on a second. Poof, I'm back. Mobile Fidelity has been releasing these things. They are one-step processed records, which is like a little closer to the master. So they call these Ultra Disc one steps, and this is 649. This is Bridge Over Troubled Water, and they're kind of nice. I mean, it's a nice presentation on the inside, but the record is recording, the album, the LP sounds really good. And they released Stevie Ray Vaughan's first album, Texas Flood, which is one of my favorite. It's a great Stevie Ray Vaughan. But the second album of his, Couldn't Stand the Weather, was really, to me, it's my favorite record of Stevie Ray's. And the engineering took a little jump forward, I thought, from the first record, which is, it happens. You get into the studio on the first record, you're just excited to be in the studio. And the second record was really it was a professional record. It was a more professionally recorded record. Stevie, throughout his career, by the time he got to Instep, he was a nut about his studio work and his studio setups. And that record sounds really good. But I like the music, the combination of the music and the recording technique of Couldn't Stand the Weather is a huge step above, I think, Texas Flood. Well, now Mobile Fidelity is going to do the one step of that record. So I pre-ordered that. That's available for pre-order now. If you're into LPs and great LPs, that's one to take a look at. I'm going to wrap up this look at new music by talking about my record of the year so far. And it's going to be a surprise, but and it surprised me. It's the Pretenders. Now, the Pretenders, I probably have seen them pop up on my tour list, like bands that are touring. But I got to confess, I wasn't totally aware that they were together. And the album's called Hate for Sale. It's new, and please listen to this record. In fact, I'm going to tell specific bands that should listen to this record. This is a record I wish U2 would make. This is a record I wish the Fratellis would make. It's a modern take on Iggy Pop, post-punk. It's still in the Pretenders lane. It sounds like Pretenders, but it is an aggressive, edgy, a little dangerous. It is a brilliant effort. It's this post-punk Pretenders that I loved so much from the 80s, and Chrissie Hynde's voice, it's as solid as it was on the middle of the road. There is no wear on her voice at all. Her voice is pristine. She has maintained it. It's like a throwback. It's like stepping out of a time machine. The songs are arranged brilliantly, and her voice is right in the pocket of the songs. When it rocks, it soars. When it's mellow, you just chill. I thought, why aren't bands making records like this anymore? It's a track to tracker. You just want to listen to the next track, and you can't wait for the next surprise. She's playing harmonica again, and it's distorted harmonica. Sounds great. I have missed this sound in music for a long time. It's been a sound I haven't heard in a long time. And my only complaint about the album, it's only 10 songs long, and I wish it were like a double or a triple album. It's that good. It makes me want to go see them if they tour once this COVID crisis is passed. And I owe the Pretenders an apology for not following them more closely. This is a throwback record, but it's current. It's a current take on a throwback record, and that's my record of the year so far. It's the best thing I've heard. That's my music wrap up for today. I'll talk about this stuff from time to time because I want to, and it's my channel, it's my show, and nobody's watching. I'll do another episode certainly when I get the ZMFs in or when the Odins get here, just to talk about those and show those off. There's both spectacular looking and visual headphones. And until then, until I think of something else to talk about, I'll see you then. I'll see you later. Bye.